Today is going to be a very important topic because it's about all the special situations. And maybe you don't have any now, but maybe you will someday. So I still recommend you stick around for this, even if you're a single healthy person with no issues, because you might have a next door neighbor who might need your help. So let's talk about some very common things that might make it a little bit harder in emergency. Those are babies and children, elderly, people with disabilities, and pets. And of course, there's a lot of other situations that can come up, but I'd say those are probably the biggies. So babies and children, one thing we had for our kids from the time they were pretty little is once they were at an age where they could walk away from us, they had dog tags. So like military style with their name, our name, and our phone number on them. And we taught them to show it to people because both of our kids did not speak until quite late, and then they had a lot of trouble talking to other people. And so we just taught them to hold up their dog tags. And we would practice it. And you're like, hold your dog tag up, and not to like any person who wants to kidnap them or whatever. We also taught them who to go to. So we always said someone in a uniform who works at the store, who works at a place if they're lost. A mom with kids is a good next bet, right? So if they were ever in a situation, whether we were at an airport or we were at a festival or whatever, we had their dog tags on. And we kept them right by the door so that we would have them in case of an emergency. So we just always had them available, and we could just pop those over the kids' heads. And then if, say, we did have to evacuate, we ended up in some sort of slightly chaotic situation, our kids would be tagged, and that would make it a little bit easier. Nowadays, I've heard of parents putting air tags in kids' shoes, like all sorts of things. You do what works for you. My kids are teenagers now. We didn't have that kind of technology, but have some sort of plan for both keeping track of your kids and then being able to find them if you guys get separated. Also, always keep a current photo of your kids. I know that seems impossible to not have one, but like, especially as they get older, you're not taking constant photos of how cute they are. And in that case, I don't want to be going back through my phone looking for things. And so, like, I always remind myself, just go to photos, search the kid's name. If you do have to evacuate, take a picture of the kid right then in the clothes they're wearing, because then people know what they're looking for. I always did this too if we went to like a festival, traveled, anything like that. I would have a picture of the kids and what they were wearing. It's a good tip for Disneyland and places like that too, so that if your kid gets separated from you, you can show them exactly what the kid is wearing, because telling them to look for a kid with brown hair, that's going to be really hard to do. But if you tell them to look for a kid with brown hair and a pink t-shirt and, red shoes and whatever, it's a lot easier to separate that kid out from the others. So another little tip when you're working with kids. Also, if you have to evacuate with kids, we're going to talk what to bring with you later. For now, we're going to be thinking about the mechanics of evacuating. You're going to need a way to move small children quickly. And if you have small children, you know that's not easy to do. And so in our case, we did games of seeing how fast we could do something. And it was basically evacuation games, but I didn't tell them that. If you've ever read Cheaper by the Dozen, he did it with a whistle where he'd blow a whistle and the kids would come running and he'd give them presents. And so we basically did that same thing. We'd time it, we'd give presents, things like that. And again, this isn't something you're probably ever going to need, but it is super useful actually if the kids come whenever you call them, because they know there might be a treat. And I highly recommend not doing candy all the time. Anytime I had some little treat I got them, I used it as a training opportunity, which made sure that they were really good about coming after a certain age. I mean, it takes a while, right? But then in an emergency, they'll come. Similar for your animals. Training your animals to come because they're going to get something is good. Don't ever call them to you because you're going to give them a bath or something. Go get them for the bath. So if they call them, it's going to be a good thing. It's walks, it's treats, it's playtime, it's something good. So they're more likely to come to you. Training the cats to come by tapping a food can or shaking their treats or something so that they'll always come to you. When I was a kid, we had outdoor cats, so they were all trained to come to us because that's how they knew food was there. Nowadays, since most people I know have indoor cats, cats aren't as well trained to come when they're called. But if you have a way to make them come in case of an emergency, that can be very helpful. We keep a dog leash and harness right next to our front door. We actually have two sets. We have our regular one we can use all the time, and we have an emergency one that's neon green. And that's actually when we keep the tags on, because we only have one set of like all the vaccine tags and stuff, because we don't need those really for a walk. But if we were to evacuate, end up in a shelter, you have to have those tags usually. So we keep those on the emergency neon green harness, neon green leash. So it's really easy to see, not just here, but also, out in the world if there was an emergency. So that's kind of our emergency one. We only use it either for a real emergency, which we've never done, or like if our dog was sick and we couldn't find the leash, we can use the backup one to get to the vet. Things like we have used it for that. For the cats, carriers are a pain to store if you have a small space like us. So we have collapsible, like soft-sided things like you might take on an airplane. Our cats do not like being shoved in there in large numbers because we have 4. So we have one big one that can hold multiple cats. Technically, we get all 4 in if we have to, but it's hard to shove them all in. And then we have some smaller ones we can put cats in. So you might not ever use them, but you want to have enough carriers for your pets and have them where you can get to them. If they're at a storage unit across town, that's not going to help you in an emergency. And again, with pets in particular, the emergency might be, well, in the case of my dog, he ate chocolate again. We don't have to take him to the vet anymore. They taught us how to make him throw up at home. So we don't have to take him. But that was our most common emergency. Our dog ate chocolate. He's passionate about chocolate, and it's so dangerous for him. So yeah, you might need that for that kind of emergency. Now, as far as other people, elderly, people with mobility issues, or with other disabilities, someone who has sensory issues, or maybe who gets confused easily, all of those kinds of things, you need to plan for that specific situation. So part of it is kind of planning like a little kid, right? If someone's going to get confused and overwhelmed, you're going to practice with them ahead of time in a calm and cheerful way, just like you would with a preschooler. Not because they are a preschooler, but because they deserve that same kind of practice so that they can feel just as confident in the situation. If someone has mobility issues, do they have a wheelchair they use? Do they have a walker? Is it always kept near where you can get to it and where you can get out the door? Is it convenient to use? Do you need to have like an emergency one that you keep in the back of the car? This could be getting to the doctor, right? This could be getting some other kind of emergency taken care of, not just like a natural disaster, major emergency. So you need to think through these different situations so that if it does come up, you're ready, but you've got a plan. And if you kind of practice these things, so you get someone used to it, it's going to go a lot better. For people with autism and other needs like that, there's a sunflower program at airports where you can put a sunflower lanyard on someone. And that just kind of says like, this person has needs that you can't see. It's invisible disability. You can use that same lanyard the rest of the time too. My kids each have one. They don't like using it. They're teenagers. They're too cool for that. But I do have them each have one that has just like basic information clipped to it. Just because if there is an emergency, one of them in particular I know really shuts down, and I want them to have that. And, you know, again, they're too cool for that, but I have it for them anyways, and they do know it's there. And Mom, but it's there. So anything I didn't talk about and you think of, feel free to put in a message down below the video and tell me, because I don't want to be missing something, and other people watching the video are going to want to know too. So next time we're going to talk about things to bring when you do need to evacuate, things to have ready, and also just like emergency kit type stuff. But for today, I think this is enough. Make sure to go to docrobinschool.com/YouTube to get the whole thing so you can fill it out step by step with me, or you can work ahead, whatever you want to do. But I have it all laid out for you. So you don't have to remember this. You don't have to be taking notes. It's all in that download, ready to go. I highly recommend you get it. I made it for you.